I'm a WWE veteran. I've been doing it for a long time. My journey in wrestling started September 11th, 2002. For me, the journey was laser like focus. It was something that I wanted to do.
G'day guys, welcome back for another episode. We're now in season 2 of Thinking Man Business Labs podcast. Today I have a very special guest direct from America, and a famous wrestler in his own right, advocate in his own right, and really done some special things in his life already. So I just want to welcome Fred to the podcast, and give us a bit of a brief about the Fred story up until now, and where you're sort of at the moment.
Well, Pete, thank you for giving me the platform to share my story. I always say, don't die with the story and you tell it. So, again, Mr. No Days Off is my nickname in the professional wrestling and entertainment world. I go by right now Fred Rosser, my government name. But there was a stretch in my wrestling career where I went by Mr. No Days Off Darren Young, and that was when I was with World Wrestling Entertainment, the largest wrestling group in the world. And it was a dream of mine as a kid to be that larger than life superstar. I wanted to be the next Hulk Hogan. Everyone knows him. I wanted to be currently John Cena was the top megastar in wrestling when I was with WWE. So everyone wants to, be that superhero, and I was able to do it. But yeah, I love doing these interviews, and sometimes when I do these interviews, they say former WWE superstar, and you didn't say Pete former. So normally I would have, told you off and said, "Hey, I'm a WWE veteran. I've been doing it for a long time. My journey in wrestling started September 11th, 2002, 1 year after 9/11 here in New York City. I grew up in New Jersey, New York area. So that's when I first stepped foot into a professional wrestling ring. And for me, the journey was laser like focus. It was something that I wanted to do. And I pursued it right out of high school into college. But yeah, that journey of wanting to be a WWF wrestler as a young child, since I came out of my mom's womb in 1983, has
Yeah.
always been a childhood dream of mine.
Yeah, I mean, just achieving that's amazing in its feat. When you're sitting, and we all do it for certain scenarios. Life, it might not be wrestling, it might be something else, whether it's a business venture or another athletic endeavor. But once you achieve it, it's something that I think people, you know, like you said, I think it's very important for people to reflect on that one comment where you say former. You know, that's an achievement that you made, and that's an achievement that you'll keep with yourself forever. So anyone watching, whether it's a business or whatever, if you've achieved something in your life, you hang that up as an achievement. You don't put that in the past and say, okay, that was it. I hit my peak, and that was that. Well, that's an achievement, and be proud of that, and hang up and work on the next level. Because people too dismissive of themselves. As soon as one chapter ends, it's sort of like I've never achieved anything in my life, and it's hard for sports people sometimes with that. And I'm sure you've seen that with colleagues.
Yeah, hey, preach on, Pete. You're telling it like it is, and I love having these conversations where I'm able to just share my story. I always say that there's 7 billion plus people on this planet, so whatever it's going to take for me to share my story with the masses, I'm going to do it. So, my career with WWE ultimately blossomed in 2009. I was doing the independents, the minor leagues of professional wrestling from 2002 to 2009 until I got my dream job with WWE in 2009. And, my career lasted there from 2009 to 2017 until I ultimately got released. And, I always had dreams and aspirations of going to New Japan, working in Japan. With WWE, I had been able to wrestle all over the world, but my bucket list was to perform in Japan. And then fast forward to when the pandemic hit, I had my opportunity to work with New Japan here in America, and still 2022. I'm hoping to get over to Japan. Now, Pete, when we do these interviews, I'm kind of like all over the place when I'm talking.
Cool,
I
cool.
can I can plan these interviews I do, but I work best by speaking from the heart. So you got to keep us on track with this. So I kind of go on a tangent, but yeah, currently I'm still active. 38 years old, making my 20s, jealous of my 30s. Still and still at it. And we talked earlier about before we went live about business. Yeah, we're business. So after our career outside of wrestling, it's always good to take the platform that I've built with WWE and wrestling and utilize it on my social media. And you'll get people that say, "Oh, I need a break from social media." Well, me, I can't do that because again, it goes back to Mr. No Days Off, my nickname. I don't aspire to make a living. I aspire to make a difference with my social media. So I don't post for the thousands that might hate on me. I post for the one person that is inspired by a supplement that I'm taking. I just posted this morning, Athletic Greens is a supplement I'm using, and people want to know what I'm using. People want to know what I'm supplementing with. People want to know what my hobbies are, and they can all find out through my social media, which I always say is my open diary to the world. So anything I ever post always comes from the heart with the intent to inspire, motivate, and educate the masses.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And what we'll do is, if anyone wants to follow Fred, but what we're going to do at the bottom of the YouTube video, or if you're watching on iTunes, we'll have all the links to all these socials. And it's I've been following for a little while, and there's some gold in there. And I want to go back to just to your philosophy of no days off. I know it was a bit of a
Yes.
gimmick on WWE, but it's a real lived gimmick. Am I correct in assuming that?
It's a way of life, constant grind, struggle, and hustle of life, and it's just not a nickname that I spread to the masses. It's a nickname that you, Pete, take after. If you're waking up and going to the gym, if you're at it, doing whatever it is you have to do to cross the finish line, that's Mr. No Days Off. So it's a nickname that I hold near and dear to my heart, Mr. No Days Off. And it's a nickname I encourage the masses to live by. I'll rest when I'm 6 feet under, but at 38 years old,
Yeah.
I got to keep grinding. I have to keep moving, And again, I do more than just wrestle. I'm an advocate for the LGBTQ community as well, and anyone that gets bullied into silence. So my whole hashtag block the hate movement is just, it works well with my wrestling because, wrestling, it's good versus evil. I'm good, but I'm very, 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 very aggressive, and we settle our battles in the ring. People try to bully me in the ring, and I conquer it by blocking the hate. So I want people at the end of the day to either see me on TV, on social media, and say to themselves if they're struggling, well, if he can do it, then so can I.
So just a couple of things I just want to expand on if you want to. But so the no days off. Obviously, we all have times in our life that are tough,
Mm-hmm.
and that no day off. It's almost like crap. How am I gonna do it today? What's if there's any little bits of advice that you can have to people when they've got those days where they just can't get out of bed or are really struggling? What's something that gives you that just that inkling to just roll out of bed and still get it done, or is it just how you're built?
Yeah, every day my feet touch the ground when I get out of bed. I know someone's counting on me, and you know, it's a lifestyle that in all actuality, I get from my mom. I get from my family of always constantly grinding and just if you do anything, if you accomplish anything throughout the day, at least make up your bed. That's an
Yeah.
accomplishment. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Going to the gym, that's an accomplishment. That's you got to be consistent. Without commitment, you'll never start, but without consistency, you'll never finish. So you have to be committed to the start, and consistency will lead you to the finish. And that's how it is. And we all have ups and downs. Everyone, I think, deals with mental health a little differently. For
Mm.
me, I have to get the gym out the way. I always use the analogy: anytime anyone goes flying, the next time you go flying, Pete, listen to the flight attendant. When she goes over her safe, he or she goes over her safety protocol. And they say always put the oxygen mask on yourself first before assisting others. And that's how we have to live our life. You know what I mean? We have to do something for ourselves before we assist others. Put the oxygen mask on ourselves first before assisting others. I have to get the gym out the way first before assisting others. So yeah, that's what it's all about. Missing no days off. I can say it in different ways, but it's all the same.
I mean, that's a great saying. And for me, even though, as you can tell, I'm not an athletic person, but I've got different attributes in different areas, and helping people in mental health spaces and domestic violence victims and things like that. So, but my daily ritual is, because I live close to the beach, I walk to the beach, go for a swim, get the salt water and beautiful minerals in me, and
Yes.
then I feel like 100%, and my day's already set.
Yeah, if you're just laying around and sitting around, that whole saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. If you don't use your legs, if you don't start moving, you're gonna lose them. You're not gonna be
Yeah,
able to walk someday. So,
yeah,
yeah, it's very important that we take care of ourselves first. I always say health is wealth. And I say, which would you rather, Pete? Would you rather spend money on a vacation, or would you rather spend money on doctor bills? So
yeah.
I think I would rather spend money on vacations. That's why it's important that we take care of our health first and foremost.
100%, 100%. And, a lot of people listening, because we have CEOs and things like that. But I just think, what this program tries to do is the feelings, the no days off, the money side of things, the motivations. Whether you're a businessman, whether you're a sportsman, to me, it's all the same. The downs, the depression, the mental health issues, the feelings the feeling for each individual is different, but the actual process is actually the same. So a CEO who loses his job, it's easy for him to spiral into depression. A wrestler loses the job, it's
Mhm.
easy for them to spiral into depression. So even though we're all in very different fields, some of those are very, very relatable. So we can all learn from each other, and that's the amazing thing.
Yeah, Pete, for me, my dream job, I had conquered it. I had been told no by WWE over 40 times
Wow.
from 2003 to 2009. Told no over 40 times until I got that one yes. And that happened May 4th, 2009, out of 75 guys and girls from all over the world. Australia, definitely, you name it, all over the world. I beat them all out, and I earned my contract with WWE. And this was a time, I hate to be like the old timers in wrestling when they say back in my day, but really we're in 2022. But back in my day in 2009, I had to pay to do a tryout. Now if you want to try out for WWE, you don't have to pay anymore. For me, I had to use my own money to try out, and it was my last resort, because what if wrestling didn't work? It was my last tryout. If I didn't make it, what would I have done? Well, I was number 3 on the firefighter list in my town in New Jersey, so most likely I would have been a firefighter. But I earned my contract that day with
That's good.
WWE, and then everything just took off. Everything took off for me. But yeah, just imagine getting your dream job, and then 2009 to 2017 with WWE, and doing social media for them. For example, if I'm doing an interview that you got through WWE, and we're vibing, we're doing an interview, and then the next day I get fired, it can be kind of heartbroken because it was just so abruptly. It's not like
Yeah.
I did
Mm.
anything wrong. So yeah, it doesn't feel good to get fired, but because I thought I would have had a career maybe as a trainer or maybe as an ambassador for their community service department. But, I can't cry over spilled milk. I have to keep it moving. And, I got involved in a lot of sponsorships on social media because, again, we're a business. I can't just stop, and I continue to wrestle a little bit after my career with WWE in 2017. But again, I had dreams of doing a major Japanese organization, New Japan, which I'm doing right now. And that's what I talked about earlier. Without commitment, you'll never start, but without consistency, you'll never finish. If you want something bad enough, Pete, if you wake up with it and you go to sleep with it and you can't shake it, you got to do it. You got to do it. And during a pandemic, that's when my bucket list dream job, New Japan, had reached out to me, and everything took off. Again, sorry, Pete, I go on a tangent, but keep us on track.
That's really, I mean, that's really awesome. And this is how I do my podcast anyway. Like I said, nice and relaxed, wherever it takes us. But just giving you an example, like I chased you up for this podcast. So anyone out there that wants to do a podcast or wants to do anything, like sometimes you've got to do that stuff, and you might annoy someone might get pissed off and say, stop DMing me. That's cool. You replied, you were nice enough to reply. And here we are today. If I didn't put myself out there, today wouldn't be happening. Do you know what I mean? And we wouldn't be getting these special messages that you are giving to the audience. But I do want to go back to something, because you did say your WWE career finished in 2017. So it's, I mean, with the pandemic, I don't really include these sort of last couple of years. So it's only really been a couple of years since you left. Might feel a lot longer, but during that time, you really accomplished some really, really special things inside and outside of the ring that are still now being advocated for in the WWE. What people don't know is that you're the one that broke that glass for a lot of people. Do you want to give us a bit of your take on that and how that sort of felt for you?
Yeah, again, dream job that I conquered in 2009. But then, you're at the top, but you're just battling these demons that are inside. And, I had found love, and eventually sometimes you have to sacrifice your career to inspire others to be and accept themselves. And then there are many reasons why I came out publicly. I ultimately wanted to be able to bring my partner, I hate using the word partner, I wanted to be able to bring my boyfriend to red carpets. I wanted to be able to bring him to red carpet events, backstage into the masculine world of WWE, and I was able to do that. My own happiness is more important than anything, and WWE supported me when it was convenient for them, and I am glad that I did it, because I was able to pave the way for other LGBTQ athletes to come out and be and accept themselves. And when you come out, you have a duty to instill confidence in all of our youth, and to instill confidence into all of them. It's so important. Our youth is so important. I get so many DMs from people that are fans. That one in particular, a couple of years ago, he wanted to commit suicide, and this was an ally. This was a straight man, and he was a big fan of me, and we had met before. And I started sending him video messages, talking him out of it. Years later, probably 2.5 years later, this day, he's in a new relationship with a new girl, and things are great for him. So I always say that my fight is much more bigger than in the ring. That's one story that is near and dear to my heart.
That's amazing.
And really, I didn't realize my story was a big deal until, of all people, again, it goes down in the DM, the direct message, when the icon Cher reached out to me on social media, on Twitter, and she said, because of her, because of her hearing my story, one of her friends who's a big wrestling fan came out to his family. So it was that minute that I realized that my story was a big deal. My story had a conglomerate effect on the wrestling and entertainment world. It had a sudden change, and in all that I do, I've never looked at myself as the most talented. Where I excel is my ridiculous, sickening work ethic. You know what I mean? So now that I'm a LGBTQ trailblazer superhero, the suntan Superman, I've gotta I've got to keep continuing to fight the good fight. I want to leave it better than what it was before I came out. So, and I'm doing it. I'm doing it. So the fight don't stop for me.
No, that's really, I mean, that's so motivating for anybody, regardless of their story. Like you said, Block to Hate can represent so many things. So I do a bit of work
Anybody.
in domestic violence or whatever it is.
Pete, you might get bullied because you have an accent.
Yeah,
You know what? Well, instead of doing this, you block the hate.
yeah,
Hey, you
yeah.
tell them, hey man, get out my face, block the hate. Don't do this. Do this.
Yeah, nice one, nice one. So, yeah, I mean that's amazing, and it's really been, I guess, good to watch. And you know, I honestly feel from what you've done, I think there'll be a time where you will get that. I don't know why. I just get this weird feeling that you will get this call, whether you want it or not, from WWE, that they will want you back in that environment as an ambassador. In that, I don't know why, but it just, because you see people like Finn still wearing the shirts with all the different colors, and that's because of the movement that you started, and that must be satisfying, even though you're not there. It still must be satisfying in a way for you.
Yeah, like I said, I'm very close to my 96-year-old grandfather who has so much wisdom. And I sit down with him and I talk to him about, my ups and downs and everything I'm doing. And at 96 years old, he's on social media. He sees everything. He knows how to heart pictures. He
What?
sees everything. Yeah, 96 years old. He's always on.
So we got no excuse, mate. We got
Yeah,
no excuse.
like he's on his phone, like 96 years old. Just like I said, Pop, you have to be gentle, but he's just like this. I said, oh, but he's getting it done. He's getting it done. And I can sit with him because he's got so much wisdom and say, Pop, if you had the world's attention for 30 seconds, what would you say? He said, Sonny, I would tell them, be cool and don't be no fool. And at 96 years old, that is just wisdom. It's so simple, but just be cool and don't be no fool. It's just simple advice, simple life advice that I live by daily. If someone cuts me off when I'm driving, obviously they need to get somewhere faster than I do. I leave a lot early if I need to be somewhere. So let them go. If they crash, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be a part of it.
Mm,
Again, be cool, don't be no fool. Now,
that's
on the other
awesome.
hand, my mom has terrible road rage. I don't want to even get into that. I have to keep it PG. I have to keep it PG with you, Pete. That's a different story. But yeah, just be cool and don't be no fool.
Nah, man, that's awesome. So, what about the next, like you said, the next couple of months, looking at New Japan? Obviously, at some point, continuing working on social media and inspiring others. Any sort of other plans for yourself and where you're at?
Well, the thing with New Japan is that you had mentioned that you see me back at WWE someday. Yeah, that would be cool. But I really feel at home with New Japan. New Japan's strong, and I'm a big fan. He doesn't like to be called a motivational speaker, but his name is Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't
Oh
know if
yeah,
you ever heard of him,
Gary V.
Gary V.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was a bucket list interview, and I actually got him through a friend. Uh, and Gary V was down to interview me, so I got to talk with him for a bit. With him, time is money, so we got to talk for 15 minutes, and we recorded it uh, for his show. And He gives great advice, not really PG, but that's how he expresses himself. He says, that's how he expresses himself,
Mate.
which I totally love. And he gave a great advice. And these numbers I'm talking about are just examples. He said he would rather make, and I'm just paraphrasing what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he would rather make $150,000 and be happy than make $350,000 and be unhappy. But at $150,000, you just have to live a little bit more humbly.
Yeah.
I said that. No, I got that from him, and I said that I said that with another interviewer, Chris Van Vliet.
Yeah. Yeah.
CVV, big fan of him. That's how I want to live my life. With New Japan, I'm happy, and that's the most important thing to me. And I think the reason why people are so down and depressed in this world is because they're not doing what they love, they're doing what they have to. And that's
Mm.
what the work world and the workforce do. It steals dreams.
Mm.
It steals dreams, and people will compromise their dreams just to go do someone else's dreams and come home at night and expect to feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
But for me, when I wake up in the morning and I do what I love and I work on my gift, even the days I'm not paid, I don't feel like I wasted my time because I'm doing something I love.
Yeah.
And if I were to die today, you know what I mean? I want to die doing something I love. And that's being with New Japan. That's focusing on my advocacy work. Before the pandemic hit, I was speaking at schools, and it's something that I genuinely love. With WWE, they had an amazing community service department. And I was like the poster boy,
Yeah. Sure.
anytime we needed to do Be a Star, which is the initial star show tolerance and respect. It was an anti-bullying rally, which I would love. I love doing them. Love doing them. I would always be with the Miz, Mike Mizanin,
Yeah.
always doing the community service stuff. So what I did was I kind of took that anti-bullying rally that we would always do, and I made it into my whole block the hate movement. So I
Nice.
just WWE was almost like college for me, and now that I've graduated, I'm kind of like doing my own thing now. Again, you got to grind and you got to hustle. And I got to be honest with you, 2020, knock on wood, when everything shut down, I had to pivot. I didn't stop. I reached
Mm.
out to hundreds and hundreds of businesses through social media that interest me, that I showed a genuine interest in. And if I reached out to a couple of hundred, maybe 12 or 15 really said, all right, yeah, well, let's work together. So I was fortunate enough to work with great brands that compensated me for my work. And it's been great. It's been great. And again, we're a business. So we've got to, I'm still wrestling. I'm still speaking whenever I can. I'm still doing interviews. I'm still promoting products that I like, whether it's an energy drink, whether it's a CBD product, because again, people want to know what I'm taking in, what I'm ingesting, what I'm supplementing with, just as much as people look up to me for inspiration. Some of my biggest inspirations that I gravitate towards too are maybe The Rock,
Mm-hmm.
Denzel Washington, Tom Hanks, Will Smith, Matthew McConaughey.
Mm.
These are people that I gravitate to towards how they deliver stuff on social media. So just as much as people look up to me, I look up to guys like that. So I've got to keep inspiring the masses.
We've all got to have our own mentors, and just like you were saying about grinding, like podcast. I mean, everybody knows there's not a great deal of money in podcasts, but it's
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's us. It's almost like pen pal in a new generation. So you and I have got to meet today and have a bit of a chat. And I mean, who knows what's
Mm-hmm.
going to happen in the future? Do you know what I mean? We might get five to
Yes.
10,000 views on YouTube and through the platform, but it's not the world's biggest podcast. So I appreciate you coming on, because at the end of the day, if we inspire one or two out of this, then that's
Yeah.
mission accomplished. Do you know what I mean? You can't put a dollar
Exactly.
value on that. So with that being said, mate, if there's anything else that you wanted to say hi to maybe your fans in Australia or anything to, close it down, it's up to you, mate. The floor is yours.
I'm very, very, very upset. I can't leak any news, but I was going to be working on a huge project in Australia, but with the pandemic and I think the Omicron, and at the time it was the Delta, kind of put things on hold for me. So hopefully, I just got to keep my head down and keep moving forward. And the only time I should look back is to see how far I come. I just hope I can get this opportunity to travel to not only Japan, but to Australia, where I was going to be working on a huge, huge project. So hopefully things get better and I can conquer my dreams even more. I always say, Pete, don't just don't let your dreams just be dreams. If you have goals and aspirations, even at 38, you can still get it done. So again, anyone that's listening to this, uh, if you don't have anyone in your family that supports you around the holidays or not around the holidays, be a part of my family on social media: Twitter, Instagram at Real Fred Rosser. Follow me, hashtag block the hate, because none of us are strong as all of us, Pete.
Sounds good. Sounds really good. And I just want to finish off on one point that I think is going to be relevant for whether, like I said, CEOs, sports guys, whoever's watching, is that you made something, and it was almost really touching. Is that you looked at everyone looks at WWE as the pinnacle for wrestling. So for people that aren't familiar with wrestling, WWE is the biggest wrestling company in the world by far. And for you to say that you've used WWE as your graduation, you graduated from there, and now you're moving on from there to your PhD or to whatever analogy we want to use down the track, I think is amazing for anybody. So if you're a CEO that's either lost their job during the pandemic or you feel like you've reached your pinnacle, it just because it was your dream doesn't mean that life ends.
Pete, the three things I just recently inherited are: one, surround yourself around people who light up anytime you walk into a room; two, slowest is the fastest way to get to where you want to be; and three, which is very important, the top of one mountain is the bottom of the next. So we got to keep climbing, Pete.
Awesome, man. Awesome. On that note, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, my man. And we'll stay in touch. And I look forward to this Australian project coming to fruition. And if that happens, we'll make sure we talk again.
Anytime. Thank you for the support.
Or a legend. Thank you, mate. Take care.
Take care. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
and I pursued it right out of